I want to build a super team. Counter-Strike has had thousands of players go through its doors, and there's so many ways you can mix and match your teams. It's like Barbie for 25-year-old entrepreneurs. Some combinations of teams were just so bad that not only did they just not work in the server, they just made zero logistical sense. From folks who didn't even speak English on an English-speaking team to a multi-million-dollar organization playing the worst kind of Moneyball you've ever seen. Welcome to Counter-Strike's cursed rosters. If there is one thing that is synonymous with terrible Counter-Strike.
Gonna hit the ground there as Cole. Oh, what? That's just
fallen, making it happen, thinks it's a fake refresh with all five.
Hitting the walls with,
but he just doesn't have the time. The nade will find him in one half in less than that, and he can. It goes on. Can you believe it?
You see, American organizations love the idea of selling to that juicy American audience. So why not put a couple American players on a team? Well, the problem is North America kind of sucks at Counter-Strike. So to shore up the line, let's throw a couple of Europeans in there. For those dreaming to be a Counter-Strike player in North America, quit your dreams immediately. You will never make it. And I mean, hey, these days, these teams can work. But back in the day, these were Frankenstein's monsters. Beginning in 2018, where after FaZe Clan choked a 15-11 lead to Cloud9, giving North America its one and only major championship, the dream of North America immediately splintered into a million pieces. But do not fear, the sorcerers at Cloud9's management would be able to piece it back together.
Drop it.
All right, don't worry though. They would rotate in and out players. They brought in Golden. If you don't know anything about Counter-Strike history, Golden would go on to be one of the worst mechanical Counter-Strike players at Tier 1 ever. He's like 2018's Hooksy, except this roster didn't have 3 top 20 players. They had Automatic, he's all right, Rush, Flusha, and wait, who is their 5th? Cloud9 would then kick Skadoodle and pick up Kiyoshima, keeping up the strong trend of bringing in players who are past their prime. Now a team without an AWPer and wonderfully mediocre results in the second half of the season, at the start of 2019, Cloud9 would take a chance on the young prospect Zelsis. Hey man, he absolutely popped off. Just check out his first round at a major.
Oh, no plant yet. That might be a bit early for Dick Stacy, but he's going to find the kill. Missed shot from Flusha and a beautiful follow-up. Second one, Automatic goes down, and it's the rookie. Everything to do, and he's delivering. A 1-on-2, and Greyhound slows down the retake.
it truly is a baptism of spidey senses are tingling. He's going to pick up another headshot. Can Zelsis feasibly pull this one off? It's all down to Sterling, whittling away the time. There is the kit, but it doesn't matter.
And believe me, guys, Zelsis absolutely kept up this kind of performance throughout the entire major. And yeah.
Then they're going to have to get a move on. Push out the right idea, but Sam next is...
In the year 1776, as America declared independence from its European colonizers in Great Britain, they asked for an alliance with the French. The French would give them generals, guns, and exceptional training, while the American colonies would supply the manpower. Thanks to the French, America would fight for its independence and win. It was so good that 241 years later, at Misfits management, they have a brilliant idea. With North America's sexiest player at the helm, Sean Garris, and a stable AWPer in Shazam, combined with a young prospect rifler in Sick, Misfits needed to replace two players, Twists and Relics. And so Misfits manager, who is Kenny S's brother and had ins with the French scene, decided, hey, let's pick up some French up-and-comers. Everyone, please welcome ZywOo to Misfits. I'm sorry, it's the legendary duo of Amanek and Devo Duvek. Even at this point in their careers, these players hadn't even accomplished anything in Tier 2. Their stats weren't ridiculous, and when they got signed, they had less than 100 maps of officials played. These guys were literally completely new to this level of Counter-Strike. To be honest, the performance here from Misfits wasn't bad necessarily. They'd hang in at least the top 30 pretty consistently, and they'd qualify for the major. What makes this roster cursed? For all of 2017, they didn't make a single roster move. I mean, management just kind of just said, hey, let's give them time. And boy, did you give them time to put together a very uninspiring roster. The French North American Fusion's biggest success would come in the EPL Season 6 finals, where in the group stage to make playoffs, they beat a washed-up Ninjas in Pajamas who were just everyone's punching bag despite being number 4 in the world, North. For most Counter-Strike fans, that needs no extra explanation. And NRG, who needed a last-minute sub, so they picked up a literal FACEIT level 10 from Denmark, and he bottomed out the whole event. And fortunately for Misfits, as they scammed their way into playoffs, fortunately still don't have to play against a real team in the quarterfinals, as they match up versus the number 22 team in the world, Hellraisers, who also managed to life game the best of 1 groups versus some of the best teams in the world. All right, but Misfits clear it 2-0. Not bad, but Hellraisers known as a just studio team, so thumbs up to that, I guess. So they make it to the semifinals. And so who are they playing?
About that bracket and about that game coming up, Eddie, you already know it. Misfits versus SK is going to be one of the games coming up.
Misfits would get dropped in the offseason shortly after. Howdy, partner. Welcome to the Wild West of esports, time traveler. It's 2016, and every trendy entrepreneur wants a piece of the esports pie. Management at Splice, who would then become Mad Lions and then Koi in the span of 8 years, don't you love esports brand continuity, have a brilliant idea. Let's make an international team with 18 to 20-year-olds from different countries, and then randomly a 28-year-old Mongolian man who barely speaks English. And then put them into a team house like all the rest of the other trendy organizations. That's brilliant, says the esports director. Welcome, Splice Counter-Strike. In what turned out to actually be a traumatic experience for a lot of these players who had to live 2 months in a team house with no coordination, players from multiple different countries, a 19-year-old Dutchman, no one knew what the heck they were doing. I'm sure management just kind of said, they'll figure it out. Well, that's the Wild West of esports, folks. Safe to say this roster didn't do anything. There's plenty of fossilized garbage out there to peruse through. Optic Gaming's Counter-Strike roster with the time-tested tradition of washed-up players with the most random talent you can find, destined for mediocrity. And while their teams never perform necessarily terrible, they definitely deserve an honorable mention for completing 3 rebuilds in the course of a year. Like, 3 entire times they kicked their whole team. Early FaZe Clan's international lineup of... It's so weird looking at the flags and the age of the players on this team. All right. But in modern Counter-Strike, most organizations have just simply begun to streamline their operations. These kind of silly rosters don't really happen anymore, with the exception of Cloud9's Colossus back in 2021, where despite having one of the biggest wallets in esports, could not find a star player to top frag a single match. But that is a story for another time. All right, but I lied. There are modern travesties. In 2024 and beyond, these 2 organizations have committed atrocities to esports management everywhere. This organization, once upon a time, had millions to play with. And these days, they're putting together Moneyball rosters to go ahead and compete in a partner league. All of their players have like 0 history at Tier 1, and their sole goal in Counter-Strike is to score the one-off upset and then disappear forever. Meet OG Counter-Strike. OG are a Dota 2 organization that like won the International, the biggest prize pool event in esports. And in 2020, they entered in Counter-Strike with a mediocre roster. They entered into some franchise leagues like Blasphemere and Flashpoint. We don't talk about that one. This team would never accomplish anything outside of Blast. I always find it hilarious with their ranking graphs because you can literally see every single time they play the Blast groups score an upset versus a top 5 team and then get knocked out and disappear forever. Eventually, when Alexi B left, the team went from consistently mediocre to inconsistently mediocre. And while they have had some promising players on their books, Dexter was solid and Flamesy turned out to be a genuine prospect, filled their lineup still with players that just have no wow factor anymore. Like, I'm not gonna look at your lineup that like 90% of the CS community doesn't even know exist and then somehow become a fan of it. Like, what is the point of this team? I guess they were able to sell off Heavy God to Cloud9, but if this team ever thinks they're gonna get results. And look, there are even bad teams with Aura. Like, you can try and min-max the situation. Take, for example, FlyQuest, aka the Renegades, formerly Greyhound, whatever you want to call it. It's yeah, the boys. If you want a team to cheer for, you can cheer for them. No one is cheering for OG. This is a multi-million-dollar organization. They're picking up players from academy rosters. This player Nexius here on Mouse. Most people have never heard of this guy. He stood in for Mouse's main team in one tournament after getting promoted from their academy roster. He put up mediocre statistics there, and they're like, yeah, he has what it takes. Anyways, here are his stats in tier 2. All right. But you thought OG was bad, but you haven't seen what a train crash looks like. Because I don't even think OG are trying. They're just trying to kind of moneyball it out, kind of playing with their circumstances. This is the mother of all bad rosters. The obelisk of incompetence in esports management with an organization that also has millions of dollars. Maybe less so these days because of recent events, but stay with me. They are a household brand in esports. There is a chance your mom knows what this esports organization is. So TSM re-entered Counter-Strike after 8 years away, picking up players that had literally played no officials in 5 months. No tier 1 signings. I guess Cypher had a life tournament at the Blast Major, but definitely not on this team.
Who the fuck is that guy?
The team entered into the scene ranked number 69. Nice. And after 3 months of grinding, ended at number 55. Tier 3, everybody. It's okay. It's okay, though, because after 3 months, they've kicked half the team and added a promising Swedish star named Joel. Wow, it would be a mighty shame if this guy would be implicated in match fixing and literal cheating during games. All right, don't worry, guys. It's the summer of 2024. And our peak ranking is number 39 here for TSM. New season, new me. They've actually added some decent Danish players and are grinding tier 2. At the time of recording this, however, in the span of about a week, they lost to 3 different academy teams. So, yeah. After watching this video, you bolt awake in the mountains of Carthage. You are not online. It is 217 BC. You are the General Hannibal, and you have changed your mind. The future cannot come to pass. Rome must burn. This video is an obelisk to incompetence. If you have better resources, build better rosters, you can comment away about what you think about these. Thanks for watching. Peace.